Hi everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Pablo Picasso and how he used the color blue during his blue period to express emotion and psychological states. During this period of his life, his paintings were dominated by shades of blue, blue-green, creating a distinct and recognizable style. But this choice of color wasn't random. It reflected both his personal struggles and the world around him. So first, a little background. Picasso's blue period happened from about 1901 to 1904, and it started during a really rough time in his life. One of his closest friends, Carlos Casagemas, died, and it hit him really hard. At the same time, Picasso was living in poverty in Paris. He was surrounded by people who were struggling, like poor, the sick, and people who were kind of pushed to the edges of society. So when you look at his paintings from this time, they're not too random because they're really tied to what he was going through emotionally and what he was seeing around him. For example, this picture shows the beggar in 1903. He looks sad and cold. Um, so why blue? Blue is usually associated with sadness, loneliness, and just feeling kind of empty or isolated. And Picasso really leaned into that. Instead of using a bunch of different colors, he stuck mostly to blue tones, which makes everything feel cold and kind of distant. It almost feels like the life is drained out of the paintings. This character is like flopped over, looks like she is has no life, and it's all blue, the blue room from 1901. When we dig a little deeper, blue doesn't just symbolize sadness because of culture. There's actually some biology and psychology between how we respond to it, but it all comes down to how our eyes and brain process color. Blue light is closely connected to our circadian rhythm, which is basically our internal body clock. It helps control things like sleep, alertness, and hormone release. During the day, blue light from the sky keeps us alert and awake. But when blue is muted, darker, or desaturated, like in Picasso's paintings, it can almost have the opposite effect. It could feel low light, more like a low light conditions, which our brains can associate with quiet, stillness, or even emotional heaviness. The Soup 1902 has a lot of blue in it, and they look poor. Okay. On the psychological side of it, cool colors like blue tend to slow down our nervous system. They can lower heart rate and make us feel calmer. But that calm can easily shift into sadness or isolation, especially when there's no contrast or warmth in the image. This is important when looking at Picasso's work because he didn't use just any blue. He used dull, grayish, almost lifeless blues with no surrounding warm colors. The lack of brightness removes energy from the scene. So instead of feeling peaceful, it feels empty. Yeah, the tragedy 1903, they look cold and sad. Okay. Another thing that could be connected is how color connects to body language and perception. When we see people painted in cold tones like blue, especially with slumped postures or thin bodies, our brains read that as weakness, illness, or exhaustion. That triggers empathy, meaning we almost feel their condition. So in paintings like The Old Guitarist, the blue isn't just around the figure, it kind of soaks into him, making him feel even more flat, fragile, and drained. Um, the Old Guitar is 1903, and I agree. I feel like That's what I see when I see this picture. He looks drained and dying. So when you put it all together, Picasso is basically using blue to affect people on multiple levels at once. Biologically, through how our eyes and brain process light, psychologically, through how we associate color with emotion, and physically, through how we read bodies and human suffering. This is why Picasso's blue period painting aren't just visually sad, but actually feel sad in a real, almost physical way. Okay. Conclusion. Blue equals more than a color choice. It creates a deep emotional impact. It reflects Picasso's life and environment, and it makes viewers feel the sadness.